that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad.
That's Nazi propaganda.
Everyone's looking for something to be offended by.
The people who are the most wounded scream the loudest.
Doesn't it boil down to the lens through which we see the world?
Yes.
If I'm wounded, angry, hurt, triggered, disconnected, I'm going to be toxic. I'm going to see an incident that's not a racial incident as a racial incident because it's in me.
It's
my
you.
own hurt, my own wound.
Yeah, in the prison environment, a few really violent individuals held disproportionate influence over the entire prison.
Right.
It's numerical minorities.
Yeah. We talked about the United States being the most incarcerated nation in the world. I mean, why is that? Does it work? Are there better ways of doing this?
Those guys that I knew, that I went to prison and spent time with, those guys weren't talking about forgiveness. They weren't talking about reconciliation. When you are able to look in the mirror, own your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. Hey, I'm Khalil Osiris, coming to you live from Florida, United States of America, and I'm excited today to be here with my brother.
Hey, Khalil. Craig Wilkinson here, coming to you from Johannesburg, South Africa. And it's just wonderful to connect with you. Khalil, I thought, in light of what's been happening recently, I better ask you this question to kick off with. Have you got good genes?
Isn't this an amazing thing that's going on with this? I mean, honestly, I'm thinking that my genes must be pretty good. I'm thinking that they must be pretty good, but I haven't shopped them around yet to see where I can get a contract. But I'm thinking it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, brother, I've known you for many years, and I can testify you've got damn good genes. You've got damn good genes. I'm proud to be associated with your genes.
Brother, I mean,
they're not blue, but they're good.
Look. How do we get here on something so simple? Really? I mean,
it beats me, man.
It's a young girl who's got a modeling and acting career, who got an incredible opportunity, and there's people angry about that. I miss.
She's a pretty girl. Look, let's show a clip or two here of the fallout from the Sydney Sweeney thing.
We were talking about Sydney Sweeney once again. Now she's appearing in an American Eagle ad. And because of this ad, she's being accused of being a fascist, Nazi propagandist, and so is American Eagle.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Somebody actually made this ad into like a little bit of a political cartoon. It says, white American Eagle. Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Genes made with 100% white cotton. These genes are so pure, all the other genes should be set on fire. Okay, sorry. The mixed polyester genes should be rounded up and exterminated. We at White American Eagle want one thing for the future, a place where one gene prevails. Come get them for $19.99. What the Notshell actually making literal Nazi propaganda when all she did was appear in an ad and say what people have been saying to Sydney Sweeney for years and years now. Everybody has been talking about how beautiful Sydney Sweeney is and how great her genes are, but I guess when it's worded like that and somebody puts it in an ad, you guys get offended because you guys are thinking like Nazis, I guess. I don't know what is going on here, but this is just so emblematic of the culture that we're living in today. Everybody's looking for something to be mad about, and they will literally twist something and bend it to make it into something that they are offended by.
I mean, I like everyone's looking for something to be offended by. Isn't
it really sad, brother, to see how
it's sad,
fragile we've become?
Yeah, but it's. I'll give an example. I went to school, as you know, in Botswana, which was an incredibly multiracial school. Incredibly, in those days we had every color under the sun, every shade, from the whitest, pinkest Pommy to the deepest, darkest Nigerian, and everything in between, the full spectrum. And we had different cultures, and I'll never forget one day there was a fight amongst two students, and the teachers turned it into a racial thing, but it absolutely was not. It was two kids. I don't even remember what color they were. They were fighting, but because they had this lens of
Yes.
being hyper aware of external features,
Yes.
they turned it into something it absolutely was not. It was just two kids fighting, and kids fight
All the time.
Let's be
I mean,
honest,
this is such a
I mean,
normal.
it was just so. I love what Morgan Friedman said.
Yeah.
When he was interviewed, you remember what that interview?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was some guy interviewing. He said sincerely, he asked Morgan, "What can we do to stop racism?" And he said, "I tell you what, you stop calling me a black man, and I'll stop calling you a white man." And it struck me as so profound.
So simple yet so profound.
It's so simple yet so profound. It's skin deep. It should be a total non-issue. I mean, it's just there's another clip which I'll quickly play. Then I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Sydney Sweeney's new jeans campaign is sparking major backlash. The campaign has a clever slogan: Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. That's jeans with a J. But many believe the implication is that Sydney Sweeney's jeans with a G are superior.
My body's composition is determined by my genes. Hey, eyes up here.
Sydney Sweeney's new ad is deeply, deeply unsettling to me.
It's a problem when white people try to say that the superior gene is blonde hair and blue eyes.
Surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda.
You guys are complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it.
That's Nazi propaganda. Wow.
I thought it was gonna be like kind of bad. That's gonna be in history books.
But others are saying it's much ado about nothing.
I'm not gonna stop you.
Well, the fun police have found something else to be angry about.
What I thought that meant was, well, she was wearing some great jeans. I guess I'm really naive.
So, will the controversy help or hurt American Eagle?
Oh, Khalil. So much fuss, eh? So much fuss.
And it's been fabricated. I mean, it's just fabricated. That's all. It's just fabricated. It's for someone to be so prickly that we have it now as a normalized part of our culture.
Yeah.
It's like people
are hypersensitive, making an issue out of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they're calling it identity politics or whatever.
It's identity politics. It's canceling. It's finding something to be angry and annoyed about. And but I mean, we've been talking a lot about this offline, and it's a much more, I guess, serious topic. Yeah. But it's something which you are an international authority on, and something which I feel very, very strongly about as well. And it's the whole issue of redemption and the whole issue of the prison system, which is so often punitive rather than restorative.
Yes.
And, we were talking about too how there's a kind of a secondary punishment. Even men and women who've served their time come out and now they're back into society, and society, there's still a stigma attached on them.
Yeah.
There's still this stain that I've been, I'm a convict. I'm an ex-convict, I mean, what ex-convict, in some ways, if you look at it in a gracious way, should almost be a badge of honor, because you're an ex-convict. You did something wrong, you served your time, and if we've done it right and you've done it right, you've actually come out an improved person, a better person. You've repented, you've seen Khalil, I mean, you spent 20 years behind bars. You came out, you've walked this journey more intimately than anyone I know. And I mean, my heart breaks for men and women who, because I've spoken in prisons and seen good men, good men who took a wrong turn, ended up, have seen the error of their ways, wish they hadn't done it, but they had. Now they're serving their time. They're looking forward to a time when they can come out and prove themselves. Man, we need to get more gracious. We need to get more restorative, don't we?
Yeah, this is a really difficult conversation and issue for a lot of people. And I want to kind of tackle the elephant in the room, if you will, by saying there are victims whose lives have been shattered as a consequence of some of the horrific offenses that have been committed by those of us who have gone to prison and those who are still there. And I don't want to ever make light of that or not look at that squarely when talking about redemption, forgiveness, or people's opportunity to change. Because oftentimes these conversations leave out the horror that the victim suffered. And often, and really continues to carry with them in many instances. So even though that person has gone to prison, the perpetrator has gone to prison and served a number of years in prison, for victims, because of how our system is so fractured, if you will, even with the conviction, many times victims don't get healing. There's nothing in the adversarial system itself to move us towards some kind of healing of the harm that's been committed. So one person goes off to prison, and while they're in prison, they never actually have to come to terms with the particular offense that was committed. And that's a very important part of the discussion to bear in mind. That person can leave the courtroom, be sent to prison, and the only other time they really have to talk about the offense that they've committed is if they go to the parole board or something like that. But for the most part in their experience, there is no accountability in the context of the specific offense that was committed. There's a generic form of punishment in that you're in prison. And I think that's one of the challenges that we have in terms of moving in the direction of healing and restoration on all sides.
So you're saying in many ways the victim of the crime is neglected in this process.
In many ways, yes.
There might be some kind of theoretical. There's a kind of theoretical closure. The person's been convicted, but what about me? I've still. That's a very good point. And what is the process of actually bringing the perpetrator to a place of realization and accountability for what he's done wrong or she's done wrong, and embracing that and taking it on and working through that? I mean, is that part of the system?
No, for the most part, it's not here in America. But they do have, in some states, they do have programs that look at restorative justice and restorative practices, but that is not the mainstay. That's not the main context of the criminal justice system in America. So when we talk about redemption, for the person who's been a victim, that word is almost offensive in some cases because it's hard for them with no opportunity to really heal. In that process, it's hard for people who have been serious victims of victims of serious offenses to even consider redemption and what that might look like for the perpetrator. And I bring this up because this is the difficult part of the conversation that has to be addressed in order to get healing out of this experience. And I'm very sensitive to that because I recognize that when you go to prison, unless you are self-motivated to look at your life and actually say that I'm willing to face what I've done, look at myself in the mirror, and beyond that, I'm committed to this change, but I recognize that there are people I've hurt.
Yeah.
who may not be at this place of healing yet.
Right.
Because we don't
And there's a
all
humility in that.
Yeah, I mean, we're at different stages in our healing.
Yeah.
And so, talking about redemption is really it's a difficult conversation to have, an important conversation to have.
Yeah.
And it's critical, from my perspective, it's critical that we start with an appreciation, an understanding, and a clear perspective about the victim.
And the harm that was done.
The harm that was done.
Yeah.
The harm that was done, the person who has been harmed, that is the starting point in terms of a conversation about redemption.
Right.
And
well, I guess you cannot really find redemption as an individual, as the perpetrator, unless you're willing to truly confess your sin, own your sin, embrace it, and feel genuine sorrow and sadness and regret for it. I mean, that is the fundamental basis, isn't it? And if that's expressed to the victim in a way that's sincere, not just saying it for the sake of it, it will definitely facilitate a healing process in the person who has been harmed. So I guess that's the starting point for both parties, isn't it?
Yeah, and we have a system that's adversarial, so that when the person is brought before the judge, I mean, in most cases, they're pleading not guilty. There's an automatic assumption that you're not guilty. So let's start there. And if the person who has committed the offense maintains that position throughout the process, well, how can we reconcile? How
it
can
doesn't
we,
leave any room. Doesn't leave any room for reconciliation.
No, there's no room for that. We're talking about adversaries. Now, even in the case where the person says, well, yeah, I'll agree to a deal. And in other words, it's not that I'm guilty. Give me the best deal to get me the least amount of time.
Right. There's no remorse. There's no remorse there.
No, there's nothing about the elements that would lead, the qualities that would lead to healing and restoration. So we're looking for something in a process that is not meant to produce it. And so this is why it's critical for the individual in this context to take ownership here. I mean, the real growth happens when there's candor, there's repentance, there's a willingness to say, I'm wrong. And not only am I wrong, but here's what I'm going to do to correct my action, to correct my course.
Yeah.
And when I say that, the reason why I also say that this ideal of redemption, even in the prison itself, Craig, where you would think that given the spaces where all of these individuals the majority have done something seriously wrong, that they wouldn't want to repeat, we hope. Yet inside the prison itself, the violence continues, the harm continues.
Right.
So if there's really redemption happening, you would hope that within the prison itself, if there's
the environment of the prison.
Yes, because the genuine transformation needs to come from that perpetrator of the offense.
During the incarceration period.
Yes. So, but if you go to prison and you continue that pattern of brutal behavior, and then you come out and you want redemption, like we just haven't created a process where that's a likely outcome. Haven't.
But two quick questions, Khalil. I mean, if genuine remorse is shown during the trial, is more leniency normally given by the judge in terms of sentencing? Does that happen?
Well, first of all, yes, it can happen.
Mhm.
Does it typically happen? No. There's
Okay.
pretty much a formula for sentencing. They're guidelines.
Right.
They're called guidelines, sentencing
Yeah.
guidelines. And sometimes the sentencing can go outside the guideline, either above and beyond or less than. And in some cases, there's judicial discretion. The judge can decide. But I can tell you that having moments of real repentance in courtrooms is rare. Like I've rarely seen anything like that
Right.
in that
Yeah.
environment. And the people, even with the people who are guilty. So you really have to begin to ask yourself, how do we reach people in a way that motivates them to be accountable, that motivates them to see the harm that was actually committed and want to restore the relationship.
To have a genuine desire for growth and transformation and change.
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is, I mean, look, it goes to the whole system. Hey, the whole concept, which personally, I hate the concept of someone's messed up. Look, there are different types of crimes. There are crimes that hurt and damage individuals, violent crimes, sexual crimes. I mean, those are very difficult to talk about. And those, there's a very strong case for removing individuals who perpetrate those kind of crimes from society to protect the balance of society. Then, of course, you get the more white-collar crimes, etc. But the system of caging someone, of putting someone who's done something wrong to society in a I guess a cage. It is a cage, isn't it? I mean, let's call it what it is. With other people who've messed up, who are likely to be a bad influence on you, and there's likely to be an atmosphere of adversarialness, a jungle-type atmosphere where survival of the fittest, and the system, the entire system, is it effective? Is it? I mean, we talked about the United States being the most incarcerated nation in the world, and I mean, why is that? Does it work? Are there better ways of doing this?
Well, I think that's what we're all struggling with around the world in terms of our penal systems, our systems of social control. Because I also think that prisons serve as a form of social control. So there's an aspect of prisons that's really about how do we manage society's most dangerous, oftentimes, and reckless in their criminal behavior. What do we do about that? And as you point out, the case of these horrific cases of rape and murder and child molestation and all of those things, these are not easy issues to
No, they're not. They're not. And society must be protected from those individuals.
At all. Absolutely. So.
But someone who's abused a drug, someone who's stolen from the till, someone who's driven over the speed. I mean,
that's the key thing.
They are the majority. The violent criminals, and are a minority, I would imagine.
Yes, it's a much smaller percentage of the population.
Yeah.
However,
so there must be consequence to misbehavior, which is antisocial.
Yes.
But does it need to be incarceration and imprisonment? I mean, there's a lovely quote I've got up here on the wall. It says, "Justice without redemption is revenge."
Yes.
Another one says, "You cannot punish the pain out of a man. You have to love the pain out of him." These are also concepts that are quite intriguing, because many criminals have a very abusive past, don't they? It's not like they just woke up one day and decided. I mean, I guess you do get the criminally insane. You get the people who are just bad people. They choose the wrong way, even when the right way is presented. But a lot of the times, it's people who have come from abusive backgrounds, neglected backgrounds, which leads to behavior which is antisocial. I mean, we know that wounded men become men who wound. Often people who are abusers were themselves abused. So there's a lot more to it, isn't there? As you say, this is not an easy thing to look at.
And the other side of it, again, when we ask the question, where do we have the greatest power, the greatest opportunity to address this issue of redemption? My thinking and my approach to all of this is you have to look at personal accountability. We cannot escape, we cannot outsource the need to address and put front and center personal accountability. And at and at a pragmatic level, this isn't even what I'm talking about isn't even about the system. At a much deeper level. And I know for some people, we can't imagine having this kind of conversation without talking about the ills and the brokenness of the criminal justice system in America, particularly. And what I say to that is the broken system is not where I'm focused. I understand there are challenges with this broader experience that we call the system. But where I personally have the greatest power is over my own actions.
Right.
And if I am really challenging the system, if you will, if I really want to challenge the system, to destroy it, to correct it, to make it better, all of that starts with me.
I love the point you're making there. I mean, the system is what the system is.
Yes.
We're in the system, whether we like it or not. The only thing I can change is me, my attitude, my actions, my behavior.
I have a responsibility to look at this issue. And I'm saying this as a person who's committed offenses. I have been an offender. I have been on both sides of this. I have seen relatives of mine who have been victims. I have been a perpetrator. I have been a victim myself. It's the whole experience. And I'm saying, having been a perpetrator, having been a victim, having had family members, having a son who was murdered, all of that, you put it all together, and I'm saying that no part of this can be outsourced when you recognize that the only power you really have is over your own actions, your own thoughts, and your own emotions.
Yeah.
So
that's profound, and that is probably the most empowering truth that any of us could ever embrace.
Yeah, because we keep pointing fingers. We keep assigning blame. We keep talking about who hasn't done something correctly. And all while we have that conversation, we're ignoring the gaps in our own actions, the gaps in our own thinking. And that's where I think we keep getting it wrong, in the sense that, look, we don't need to blame anyone in order to change. And I started Truth and Reconciliation Conversations for precisely the reason that forgiveness takes one person. You can be a perpetrator, get convicted, sent to prison, and actually forgive yourself for what you've done. Forgiveness is one thing. And a person who doesn't even know you, they may not even know you, but you've committed a harm against them, and they can forgive you. But there's another step in this called reconciliation. And reconciliation is on the path to restoration. You can't restore what you don't reconcile. So reconciliation takes more than one person. It takes all parties. So we have to go beyond forgiveness here. We're talking about something, when we get into the space of redemption, We've got to move beyond forgiveness. And this is where most people think it's enough. They get stuck in there, well, I've forgiven them. Or you get a guy in prison who's talking about, I forgive myself. Well, buddy, okay, you forgive yourself. Okay, great.
There's more people involved than you.
Able to forgive yourself. But there's a little more work that has to be done.
Yeah.
And that's a good starting. I'm not marginalizing that. I'm simply saying that if we talk about redemption, Craig, we've got to talk about what that process is. So you start with, I've done this thing wrong that I recognize, and I'm prepared to forgive, and I'm operating from a place of forgiveness of myself so that I can have the courage and the substance, integrity to take the next step, and that is reconciliation. I've now got to look at what does reconciliation look like in the context of And Craig, even when you don't have the conditions in place for you to go out and do that in the community, well, reconciliation, the spirit of reconciliation has to happen where you are. In other words, if you had a mindset of reconciliation and of accountability, you would not act like a savage in prison. And I'm telling you that in prison, the greatest violence in prison is not the administration committing violence against individuals. It's individuals who have been convicted committing violence against each other. So,
and Khalil, why do you think that happens? Why?
Because there's no reconciliation, because there's no healing, because there are none of the things that we're talking about when we talk about redemption, when we talk about all these wonderful ideas and concepts and important principles. Well, when you're in the environment and you're not seeing it, you're there in the prison and you don't see it, you don't experience it, you never feel it in that context.
And it becomes a survival thing, a hierarchical thing, a power-based thing. All of the above.
You fall into, listen, the number one shaper of behavior anywhere you go in the world when it comes to humans is environment. Our environment is the decisive factor for the majority of us in terms of how we behave. So whether it's a positive environment or a negative environment, most of us simply respond compulsively to whatever the conditions are in our environment. We're just reacting. And we've never actually been told or taught that we are not our environment, that we are greater than our environment. And that we actually—
the power of choice comes into it.
Yes. We have the ability to shape our environment rather than allowing it to determine what kind of human being we'll be. Craig, I didn't listen. I went to prison from 17 to 22, and I did just what the majority do. Simply went to prison. It was a violent environment. I reacted. It was survival in my mind. And it was they called it Gladiator training. It was just a brutal, senseless, kind of sick environment. Now, that wasn't the—
There was no rest, no healing, no restoration.
No one was— none of those guys that I knew and that I went to prison and spent time with, those guys weren't talking about forgiveness. They weren't talking about reconciliation. They weren't talking about how guilty they were. In fact, in that environment, it was kind of a badge of honor to talk about how much stuff you got away with. So we're talking about the very opposite happening in the environment that you find yourself in, where you should be repenting, transforming, changing your life. Now, was there an opportunity to do that? Yes. Was there programs in the prison that were available that at least held out the hope? Yes. There were elements in place in the prison that you could participate in and begin the process. But that had to come from you.
Were there many inmates who chose that process, or was it a tiny minority?
Yes, they were in the minority. Let me just put it like that. There were inmates who did it, but they were not the majority. And let me go a step further. The greatest transformation that I witnessed in prison from individuals who had been involved in crime before and then came to prison and truly transformed their lives. The deepest transformations that I witnessed were almost always spiritual. Like they were religious of some sort. The person came there and for whatever reason, they found it necessary to turn their lives around, but they did the additional work. And that additional work, in terms of what I saw that was most impactful and real, was when there was some kind of spiritual religious transformation or awakening.
They found God.
They found God. Listen, their relationship with God changed. I witnessed this with individuals.
Yes.
And so they did programs and all those other things too, but that is the thing that I saw and witnessed and felt the power of in my own life.
Wow.
And it's what directed me down that path, to travel that path.
Right.
I recognized,
Fantastic.
I recognized, I was looking all around me. I'm saying the guys that I'm looking at who are truly the most transformed in this environment, they kind of all have the similar story, and it is something bigger than themselves.
Right.
And I personally would talk with these guys. And even though I was not, during my first incarceration, I was not ready to take that step, they planted seeds.
Right.
The guys who I talked with.
The seed of the truth.
Yes, they planted seeds. They talked with me in a way that was so powerful and moving.
You couldn't ignore it ultimately.
Absolutely I couldn't ignore it. And so even though I was not ready to change at that stage, what they did for me set the stage for the change that happened later. And
Fantastic.
so that when we talk about redemption, this conversation about redemption is quite deep in that we want the people who have committed the offense, the harm, to really go deep and see that healing is only possible when you are able to look at yourself clearly and take ownership for the person you are in the mirror.
Right.
And this is not about struggling to change. Awareness is its transformation.
Right.
Awareness.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, what is that verse that says the truth will set you free?
Yes.
I mean, awareness is looking in the mirror, seeing the truth, and a freedom comes from it, and then a desire to walk the right way. I mean, redemption also requires a repentance, which really just means making a U-turn. You know, I was heading this direction, and now I'm going to head in that direction. I was behaving like this, and now I'm going to, it's transforming the way that you behave and you pitch up. And I mean, that is the goal, isn't it? It's the goal is not to punish. The goal is is certainly there's consequences, and we got to face the consequences of our actions. But it's done in a way that's not designed just to punish. It's designed to
be redemptive.
Bring the best out in you, turn you around so that you can be a productive, loving member of society. And that's, I mean, Khalil, there's so many elements to this, but I mean, the actual time you spend behind bars can be brutally destructive, as you're saying. It's the jungle, it's gladiator training. You're surrounded by people who don't want to change, who wear their crimes as a badge of honor. I would imagine there's power struggles too.
Yes.
the most powerful person, the wealthiest person, the person's in the biggest gang they control. There's a whole. So I mean, the actual environment within the prison system can be quite brutal, can break people. I mean, you shared the story of how someone will come in and be sentenced to 3 or 4 years and end up serving 10 years because they commit a crime in jail to survive. I mean, so that's the environment itself. But what about when you come out? I mean, look. So you also said there. I mean, and most good prison systems. I know in South Africa ours are totally overcrowded, and there's a lot of corruption, and it's heartbreaking, man, because the opportunity for people to find redemption and transformation are so limited. But when you come out of the system, back into society, you've done your time. A whole new battle emerges, doesn't it? You know, you apply for a job and it says, do you have any criminal records? You have to say yes. You're automatically rejected. I know here, with our local guy, chatting to an Uber driver the other day, says, if you've got any kind of criminal record, you don't apply. They're not going to accept you, So, I mean, the punishment continues, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they call it collateral sanctions. The consequences of the offense you committed doesn't end with your conviction and your sentence. It continues. And it continues because, again, we're talking about a system that penalizes criminal behavior, understandably. But these collateral sanctions are further punishments after the time has been served. Now, my approach to the whole ideal of collateral sanctions is recognition that those are challenges that we have to engage in to change our policies, to change how we actually run our, for example, housing. How do we, or employment, how do we determine if a person has changed enough?
That's a good question.
To be hired. And think about this. If you're a sex offender and you applied for a job with Uber, that doesn't make sense. That's a risk. Think about it. That's a risk that Uber takes in hiring you if you're a sex offender. Now, so rather than getting into the weeds of, is he a sex offender? Did he commit a robbery? Did he forge checks? What did he do? Rather than going into the weeds, a lot of companies would just rather say, we don't want any of that risk.
A blanket denial.
Absolutely. We don't want any of that risk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm saying this, Craig, because it's important to see it from the side of the employer who takes that position. I'm not advocating that it's right, because as you well know, I advocate for people to get second chances and opportunities for fair chance hiring and all of that. But it's not because I don't see the side that the argument that the employer makes. I see it clearly. And I say to people who have histories of justice impacted individuals, have been arrested in prison, I'd say to them all the time, don't take this personal. This is something bigger than you.
Right.
And if you're going to take it personal, then you need to go back and take a close look at what you did in the first place that led to this label, and see if someone else is still taking it as personal as you are for what you did to them.
Yes.
Think about that. You're so caught up in your own experience and how you're being wronged by not given an opportunity that you can't even remember what you did to get the label in the first place.
Right. So you're not owning it, as you always say. Own it. And
once you do, there's a different perspective that you have if there's an employer who says, no, we're not taking that risk, and you have a conversation with them and they're adamant, that's their position, it's okay. In time, time, they may change. If it's America, what I know in America is currently there are 80 million Americans with a criminal record.
80 million.
80 million. By 2030, there's going to be 100 million Americans with criminal records. So,
and that ranges from a minor stealing a pen from a shop to murdering somebody. I mean, and everything in between.
The entire spectrum.
Yeah.
So employers are going to have to change in America.
They're going to have to drill down into the detail of what was the conviction for, you know. I mean, if you were a convicted pedophile, I'm not going to hire you in my nursery school. I mean, that's the end of the story, and understandably so. Yes. And they must understand. But if you shoplifted a pen when you were 17, you know, I mean, perhaps.
And you can,
I can look past it.
Listen, Craig, the other side, come clean. Here, this is another start. This is another part of the conversation that people don't want to deal with. I understand if you want your record expunged. I get it. I totally understand there are people who travel that path. For me, I'm not interested in my record being expunged. I don't want my sentence. I've served my time. I was guilty. I recognized what I did was wrong. I've changed. Live a different life. And if someone wants to question me about my past, I'm comfortable with those questions, Craig.
Right.
Because of the growth.
I mean, you are authentically who you are.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I don't take offense by someone raising the issue with me about my past, because it's just that. It's my past.
Right.
It's not living.
It is the truth.
Yeah. It's not living. Yeah. It doesn't exist. It only exists in a memory.
Right.
I
hear you.
Yeah. So I now have to be accountable for the person I choose to be today. That is going to be far more impactful in our relationship than the person I was 24, 26 years ago.
But how do you convince an employer of that fact? I've changed. Okay. I'm a new man. I mean, how do they know?
Well, first of all, I think just having a conversation that starts with from a place of integrity and accountability.
Yes. Goes a long way.
Point. You'd be surprised at the number of employers who are willing to hire people who have a criminal record, but have just not been engaged around it and have not had a conversation about it. But most people are open to the idea that we all can change.
That's fantastic. So there's a lot of gracious people out there, but we need to give them the opportunity. And the best way to give someone an opportunity to be gracious is to be honest with them.
And that's right.
And sincere.
Right. Start there.
Yeah, I like that.
Start with your integrity. Hold yourself accountable.
Because that says a lot for you.
Yeah. If I go in there and I'm telling them I don't have a criminal record because I got it expunged. I mean, come on. I get it. I understand. I'm not marginalizing. I'm not diminishing anyone whose story benefits from having an expungement. But I'm telling you that the vast majority are not going to have their records expunged.
Right.
The best place for them to start from is integrity and accountability.
Right.
If you say to an employer, listen, I've had some challenges in my past. I've done some stupid things. I've made some horrible choices. But let me tell you what I did with it. I turned it around.
Right.
I used my time to educate myself, to look at the offense. I've repented for the harm I did to the people who were hurt by me. I've reconciled myself to being a better person. I'm telling you, the power of that conversation.
Beautiful.
I've had that conversation with people who said they would not hire formerly incarcerated individuals who then went on to hire them. and become an advocate
Fantastic.
for it.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
But it started.
I love that story, man. I mean, I love that because it shows that, you know, there are still so many good people in the world, people willing to forgive, forget. You know, I mean, it goes back to the conversation we started with Sweeney, you know, Sydney Sweeney. I wonder, and I don't have any, data on this, but I wonder what percentage of the population is actually these nasty, angry, canceling, I wonder what percentage of the population actually looks at.
They're the minority.
I guess I'm sure it's a tiny minority.
They're the minority.
Those people who they are, but they're the noisiest minority. They're the loudest. You know?
Craig, in using the prison narrative, in the prison environment, a few really violent individuals actually held disproportionate influence over the entire prison.
Right.
And that's what
that's symbolic of the world.
That's exactly. It's numerical minorities that have
noisy ones, angry ones,
wounded, angry.
Yeah.
And so if people,
and I think
that's it, Craig.
The same applies to the race conversation. Any conversation, it's all about that angry vocal minority that hold, the tail wagging the dog.
Yeah.
Because by and large, people have goodwill. They want to get on with their brothers and their neighbors. They want to be gracious.
Craig, we are social creatures. Our nature is to be in community.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
We cannot live without it. No. I mean, there was a study done on drug addiction, and they said the opposite of addiction is actually connection.
Yes.
The more connected people are, the less likely they are to actually to go down that route.
It's so clear. In all of my work, in recognizing what it was, what's the key factor that allowed individuals who were they weren't horrible human beings. What is the core factor that allows the average person to become so violent? And when you look at it, Craig, it's only because they're reacting to something. It's a
pain, rejection, abuse, generally. I mean, the few there is a tiny percentage of the population that are they want to be bad. They choose bad. But I think it's a tiny, tiny minority. The majority is disconnected. If you think about those three fundamental cravings of a human being, it's my identity, my validity, and my sense of belonging. If I know who I am.
That's right.
If I know who I am and who I am is valid and legitimate and I belong somewhere, I don't need any of this stuff. I'm good. I'm good.
Totally, brother. The individuals I saw in prison who were the most violent were the people who were the most disconnected. In other words, least sense of belonging.
Yeah.
When you belonging changes you.
Totally does.
You cannot, when you are a human being and you belong, that your identity, your validation is embodied in that belonging.
Yeah.
That is transformational. That is what the human experience fundamentally is.
Absolutely. And doesn't that start with the family unit? Huh? A beautiful family unit, a community. I mean, gangs are made up of boys and men who they want to be part of something. They want an identity and they want status and validation. That's what a gang is.
That's what they use, the same elements.
Absolutely.
That are essential for all human connection.
Yeah.
And just distort it.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Yeah.
You distort it. So you look at you look at someone, going back to just for a second, to go back to the Sweeney story we were talking about, and how when people hear and see this story, they have all these reactions. But here's the thing for me. I saw a young girl who was like my daughter. I saw in her, honestly, my
Yeah.
daughter was excited about modeling and she's acting and all. So
Mhm.
when I first saw
Yeah.
it, I was like, yeah, you know, it could be my daughter.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me that
No, me neither.
this thing was some kind of problem. And when I started hearing all of the ridiculous narratives around it,
Doesn't it boil down to the lens through which we see the world?
Yes, brother.
And doesn't that boil down to
Yeah.
the relationship I have with myself? If I have a loving relationship with myself, if I see through the lens of love, I see the good. I see the upside. You know, if I'm wounded, angry, hurt, triggered, disconnected, I'm gonna be toxic. To be honest, I'm gonna lash out to the world in a toxic way. I'm gonna see an incident that's not a racial incident as a racial incident. I'm gonna see all kinds of stuff because it's in me. It's
in
my
you.
own hurt, my own wound,
Yes.
it's my own toxicity. You know,
Yes, we don't
I'm
see
not
what's
healed. I'm not whole.
We don't see what's in the world. We interpret what we see in the world based on our own values, biases, and perceptions.
100%. That's the bottom line, man. I mean, I think if there are two great things that have come out of this conversation, number one is which I know you're so strong on this, man. Take accountability. There's only one thing that you've got control over. That's your own thought, your own actions, your own demeanor, and the other one is, the more we find truth, love, purity, healing, wholeness. In other words, the better we are individually, we're going to see a beautiful world.
Yeah.
We're going to see a beautiful world, the more
basic,
we have woundedness,
it's basic.
we project.
That's what we're projecting.
Yeah.
And the people who are the most wounded scream the loudest.
They do. Yeah. Part because they want other people to feel their pain. It's not. Whereas people who are loving want others to flourish and to thrive. I mean, the work you do in helping ex-convicts to find a place is beautiful, because you're doing that out of a sense of, I went through that pain. I don't want anyone else to go through the pain. I want to bring healing. When you find healing and love and wholeness, you want to bring it to others. Then you're forgiving. You're loving. You're gracious. You're an agent of redemption then, aren't you?
Yeah. When you are able to look in the mirror, own your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, you're able to do that because there's a part of us, Craig, some of us don't even realize that we're not our thoughts. We have no sense that there's a gap, there's a space between us and our thoughts. We think we are our thoughts. We think we're our emotions. So we cannot distinguish the fact that we are not, because we've never taken the time. No one's ever told most of us that we're not our thoughts and we're not our emotions. So we never thought about it. It never occurred to us.
Yeah.
But imagine this, on a day where you are really, really happy. I mean, you are really happy, and someone cuts in front of you in traffic. When you're really happy, you're much more likely to look at them and laugh at them.
Yeah.
Or not even notice them at all. On a day when you are ticked off, and that person even looks like they want to cut in front of you because you stop at about the same time as the thing.
Yeah.
Think about our reaction based on that. It's the same incident, but based on what's inside of us, what we're giving attention to and nurturing inside of us at that moment.
Yeah.
That's the thing that colors the experience. So I recognized that in prison. Sitting in prison, I'm looking around, and I recognized that all of us are in prison, but we're responding in very different ways. But the majority of us are just here carrying out further violence. And I thought about it, and I said, how is this so when we know that this is crazy? We know it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you had to get to a place where you could recognize you are not the thoughts, and your thoughts are not necessarily the truth.
No.
Imagine that. All of those wild things going on in our head are not necessarily the truth. And not only that,
No.
we have some control over it. If someone were to ever tell us that we're not our thoughts, we could actually stop and just watch them. We could just watch them.
And then and the gap, there's a gap between what happens to you and what you decide to do.
Yes, that's
and
what
in
I'm
that
talking
gap,
about.
you can choose. The guy cuts in front of you, you're angry. You can say, hang on a sec, I can chase him and have road rage, or I can let it go.
It just
The power is
happened to me
yours.
the other day.
Power is yours.
A guy, I was turning in, and I honestly didn't see the car. I was turning in, and the guy, he beeped, and as soon as I heard this sound, I swerved over, and look, he was so angry, he smashed on his accelerator like he was going to try to ram into me. And I just looked at him, and then he swerved off the highway, and I thought to myself, wow, that's crazy, man. That kind of anger, that kind
Out of control.
I mean, do you really want to be that kind of slave?
No.
That any person walking down the street could say something or look at you a certain way, and you lose
trigger you.
It triggers you to the point you lose it.
Yeah.
You're a ticking time bomb.
Absolutely. That's a
dangerous way to live, Craig.
It is, yeah. And the reality is we do not need to do that.
No.
Even if we feel the anger, even if we think that we have the power to choose the way we want to go.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we choose the way of grace, the way of love, the way of purity, the way of
redemption, the way of redemption, the pathway
we become
choose it.
Exactly. And then we become agents of redemption.
Yes.
Because we heal people.
Yeah.
We show them a different way. We model a different way.
Yeah.
Oh, Khalil, it's inspiring, brother. I mean, anyone listening to this, our encouragement is, man, just become an agent of redemption. Become a redeemer. A loving, caring, giving. Yeah.
You don't need permission to do the work that we're talking about now, brother. No one needs permission to be an agent and an advocate of redemption.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
And so
beautiful.
These are choices we can make for ourselves every moment. And that's the other part of this is what I recognize is that this is continuous work. This process of choosing to be a better human being, choosing to respond rather than react. And react is typically with just our compulsion. It's just what we do without thinking. And the minute that we think and we shine a light on it, awareness is the tool. That's the tool.
Intentionality comes out of that.
Absolutely. Because clarity, when you have clarity, clarity will show you that even a negative experience can be used for good.
Yeah.
When you have clarity.
Absolutely.
You can see your life and know, yes, I've made a horrible choice here. But what I know is if I made a horrible choice, I'm also capable of making a great choice.
Fantastic.
I know I am because I've made a horrible choice. It proves to me I'm capable of better choices. And
100%. Yeah. So much better. So much better.
It's so much better.
Choose right.
And
choose good.
What's inside us, Craig? That's the other part of it. It means you have to connect with something in you.
Right. And it goes to dealing with the junk inside, doesn't it?
Yes, brother.
If there is anger, there's bitterness, there's unforgiveness, there's racism, whatever that's deal with it.
And because every one of those things that you just said, brother, are stories. Every single thing you just said, they carry with them stories that are wrapped around these ideas. We take and we attach emotion to it to make it really, really intense. We give it an emotional
Right.
boost, and then we're off to the races, acting stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think that we have so much potential and opportunity to just take a second when the anger comes. All anger is, when you look at it physiologically, it's a reaction in your body that you have to tell yourself a story about, because it's a physiological reaction. You have to interpret the reaction. And when you interpret it, it's when we get the mess. Because
Absolutely.
the same physiology.
Then you justify and recognize all kinds of things.
Because if you stop and just put awareness on it, it'll disappear.
Yeah. You can choose a better way. You can choose a better way.
We can't be physically. It's a fact that physically anger rises and it falls. In other words, we hyperventilate and then we need a rest. That's just the way anger is. No matter how angry you are, how often you get angry, you'll have a burst and then you'll have a drop. If you can just be patient and sit with it and look at it and put a light of awareness on it, you can cut that process in
It'll
half.
pass.
Maybe in third and eventually cut it out.
Yeah.
Because why, like the stuff we're getting angry about, brother, in the first place? Ridiculous.
Does it really matter? Yeah.
Someone called you a name. Come on. We're grown men.
Don't give them power.
You give them that
Don't
kind
give
of
them power.
They called you a name.
It's not worth it.
You wake up in the morning, you scroll through your whatever it is on your phone. You experience joy, you experience jealousy, you experience envy. Just scrolling on your phone.
I know. And don't let that control your life. Yeah.
Exactly. Are we that fragile? Are we that conditioned and reactive and compulsive that every single thing that happens around us, we're triggered by it?
Dictates the kind of person I'm going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's about we choose the kind of man and woman we want to be.
We do,
and then we be it
every day.
I mean that's
and sometimes it's
every
minute
single
by
day.
minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I know, brother, that what we're doing now with this podcast and what we've been doing in our relationship, this conversation and this work is what we're doing to change. In other words,
absolutely.
The idea that you change the system and you don't change yourself is ridiculous. So
you're a victim then. You're a victim of the system, and we're not victims.
Totally.
We're not victims.
We're operating off of assumptions from a system that we say we reject.
Yeah.
We're operating with the very assumptions from a system we say we reject, and then we're blaming.
It's a contradiction.
Yeah, it's a total contradiction. It's a total contradiction.
Oh gosh, Khalil.
I mean, really, you want redemption, but you want to eat meat. You're mean every day. You want redemption, though, but no, you believe in redemption, but every day you're mean. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
Hey, man. I love these conversations. We could go on forever, but I mean, it's redemption is a beautiful word, isn't it?
Yes, brother.
We all need it. We all need it. Right? I mean, we all need it. Receive it. We all need to give it. And we need to create a more redemptive society. Yeah,
definitely.
Hey, brother.
This has been wonderful.
Well,
brother.
Look, it's been wonderful as ever. Look forward to the next. To the next one.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, bro. I just want to say, brother, I'm just so grateful that we're able to have this kind of experience, relationship, and conversation. Because I know that, at least for a lot of men, we don't allow ourselves to get to a place of belonging with that heals us. We don't see that just these kinds of conversations where you present yourself unfiltered and just as you are, that it aids in our healing, that it facilitates our transformation.
It does.
And so I'm just grateful that we have an opportunity to do that with each other and to be an example for some other men, particularly, to do the same work.
I couldn't agree more, Khalil. I mean, there's a particular kind of beauty and what's the word? Power.
Yes.
In a brotherhood relationship, which is very special. And I mean, we've known each other for years, but I mean, we've talked for hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift. I mean, part of redemption is having brothers that can call you out, that can encourage you, that you can be real and authentic with. And I think we've lost that a lot in society. You know, a lot of men get together, they're posturing, they're posing, they're not being open, they're not being honest. They're boasting about their conquest. You know, and I mean, authentic brotherhood is a beautiful gift. Beautiful gift. And I appreciate you very much. And I appreciate what we have very much. And you know, here's to it impacting other lives, you know, in a powerful way.
Absolutely, bro. All right, brother.